there, you're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Welcome on into the show. My name is Chase Sr. As always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. A lot to get into here over the course of the next several minutes. Already put up a show a little bit earlier today, so be sure to check that out as well. The Niners made a couple of roster moves here today. Is another addition coming to this team which could benefit their pass rush, and the playoff picture clears up for San Francisco going into Monday Night Football and Week 15. Let's begin here with one of the Niners roster moves. San Francisco opening up the practice window for 7th-round pick quarterback Curtis Rourke. It's been a little while since we've talked about him, so here's a little bit of a refresher. Taken in the 7th round by the Niners in April's NFL Draft, 227 overall out of Indiana. He was also selected in the 3rd round of the CFL Draft. Of course, you're going to side with going to the NFL over the CFL. His nickname, because he is from Canada, or as some people like to say, Canada, is the Maple Missile. And this dude is tough as nails. He played through an ACL tear all of last year, led Indiana to their best season in program history, and then this year they topped that, and led the Hoosiers to the college football playoff where they lost to Notre Dame. And Rourke is a very intriguing quarterback prospect. He's 6'4", 220, 25 years old. He played his college football at Ohio, then transferred to Indiana, where he played under Curt Cignetti last year, Cignetti's first year, and Cignetti ended up being a dog of a coach last year, and this year he's been fantastic as well. Rourke, NFL size as a pocket passer. He really puts nice touch on 2nd and 3rd level throws, something that Kyle Shanahan really likes in his offense with the way that he designs these route concepts and these routes, and we've seen how that's benefited the likes of Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. I like Rourke's pocket mobility. He is not going to hurt you making plays out of structure and hurting you with his feet because he's not that mobile in that sense. He can struggle at times with leading guys with his throws. He doesn't panic against the blitz, though, and he will tough. He will hang inside the pocket. He will take hits, deliver the football, and for all of those strengths, I think that's why Kyle Shanahan really liked him in the pre-draft process. And a lot of NFL scouts who I talked to at the NFL Combine had said, this kid, pretty good scheme fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense because he has some of the strengths that Brock Purdy and Mac Jones do possess. And this is going to be a little bit of an audition period for Rourke. He can audition at the end of this year while his practice window is open to be a part of the 2026 Niners as a backup quarterback. Well, what do you mean, Chase? Mac Jones is under contract for 2026. He's going to be the QB too. Well, Rourke has an opportunity to either claim the QB3 spot or maybe even the 2nd string quarterback position behind Brock Purdy, because what's looming this upcoming offseason? What is going to be a storyline? Other teams showing interest in a Mac Jones trade this offseason. Now, it really comes down to which quarterbacks decide to declare for the NFL draft and which quarterbacks like Adante Moore out of Oregon or a Ty Simpson out of Alabama. If they decide to go back to school, that makes this quarterback class a little thinner, making quarterback-needy teams more desperate to find a quarterback, and they're going to look in canvas rosters in the NFL to try to make a trade to fulfill that quarterback spot. So a scenario here to look out for the Niners, Mac Jones, Curtis Rourke, this upcoming offseason and at the end of this year. If Rourke impresses San Francisco for the remainder of the year in some of these practices, and a team offers the Niners a 2nd-round pick for Mac Jones, could Rourke be QB2 and be a developmental player for Kyle Shanahan and this Niners team for 2026 and beyond? Look out for that. Another roster move here for San Francisco. Tom Pelissero breaking this news just moments ago here on this Monday afternoon, December 8th, that the Niners claimed linebacker Garrett Wallow off of waivers from Denver and placed Ben Barch on injured reserve. Ben Barch against the Cleveland Browns had suffered that Liz Frank injury, and it's an injury that's probably going to have to require surgery for Barch, and so he goes on season-ending injured reserve. Spencer Burford now going to be the full-time starter there at that left guard spot, and to take his spot on the roster, San Francisco claiming Garrett Wallow at that linebacker position. Could we also see these players activated after the bye for the Niners? And obviously now, Monday, starts their preparations for the Tennessee Titans in Week 15 after this late Week 14 bye. We're talking about Yeturgos Matos at defensive end, and we'll see about Jacob Cowing, the wide receiver who has injured and re-injured his hamstring about 3 times this year since the start of training camp. Let's focus in on Yeturgos Matos because this would be a big addition for this Niners defense and this Niners defensive line for the stretch run if he can stay healthy. And with the Niners, that's been the constant problem. He signed a 2-year, $18 million deal, barely been able to play. When he has played, and he hasn't, I don't think, been 100% when he has played, dealing with all of these knee and hamstring issues, especially this year, he has been a productive player. Overall PFF grade this season of 75.1, and the Niners like him because, like Cleveland Ferrell, like Keon White, he can play defensive end, he can play defensive tackle. Mykel Williams was doing a little bit of that. But he also led the Niners with a pass rush grade of 80.4. So he is a skilled pass rusher. Obviously, the Niners need additions and any help that they can get there. Run defense grade 50.8. That's not his specialty. 8 hurries and 9 pressures and limited action. And this Niners pass rush has been, and continues to be, one of the worst in the NFL. Obviously, that's what can happen when you lose the likes of a Nick Bosa and you've had other injuries along that defensive line, especially when you also lose your first-round pick in Mykel Williams. Some people will say, Chase, you're forgetting about Fred Warner. He's never had more than 3 sacks in his career. But the Niners this year, dead last among all 32 teams in sacks. They are second to last in pressures with 126. They have they are 27th, in hurries. And then their pressure rate is dead last. So bottom of the league in these pass rushing statistics. Another roster move for the Niners, and an addition that we could be seeing against Tennessee is linebacker Eric Kendricks playing for the Niners. Now, he's on the practice squad, so all San Francisco would have to do is give him that game day elevation, and he could play for the Niners on Sunday at home against Tennessee. Tennessee coming off a win over the Cleveland Browns, despite Shedeur Sanders playing really well. Kendricks been in the league for 10 years, 9 straight years of 100-plus tackles, and we all know the story by now. Was going to sign with the Niners last year in free agency, spurned San Francisco, signed with Dallas. That's what led to the Niners signing Devondre Campbell, and he was an all-time stiff. Still coming up here on the show, the Niners playoff picture clearing up here going into Monday Night Football to round out Week 14. We'll get into that here on the other side, but let's first get to our sponsor, our friends at Prize Picks, making today's 49ers Report possible. Look, it's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. And that place, Prize Picks. New feature alert, Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out of those winnings before the game even finishes. Is your fantasy season already over? Your team might be cooked, but I have good news for you. With Prize Picks, you don't have to wait until next year's draft. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. Let's do a little 3-pick power play for Monday Night Football. A.J. Brown, he's been on a little bit of a heater the last couple of games. More than 5 catches against the Chargers. Ladd McConkey, more than 52.5 receiving yards. Looks like Justin Herbert's going to play. And then Saquon Barkley finds the end zone more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's get to this. The Niners playoff picture clearing up here following Week 14 action going into Monday Night Football. You look at the NFC playoff picture. The Rams move up to the number 1 spot in the NFC. The Bears fall from the top seed to the final seed, 1-7, because of that loss to the Green Bay Packers. Packers elevate from the 6th seed to the 2 seed. Philadelphia Eagles remaining there in that 3 spot at 8-4. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers holding on by a thread. They're pretty much tied with the Carolina Panthers, both teams at 7-6, but the Buccaneers and Panthers still meet 2 times in the final 4 weeks of the year. So that will determine who wins that division. And then the 3 wildcard teams. Seattle Seahawks, the 5 seed at 10-3. The Niners move up from 7 to 6, despite not playing a game during their bye week. They're at 9-4, tied with Chicago. They're at 9-4. Other teams in the mix: Detroit at 8-5, Carolina at 7-6, and then the Dallas Cowboys at 6-1. I think the only chance the Cowboys have to make the playoffs is to win their division. That would require the Eagles to absolutely collapse down the stretch. And so, the Niners, 1 game back in the NFC West with 4 games to go for the Niners, Rams, and Seahawks this season. And you look at the Rams' remaining schedule. This is big here. They play the Detroit Lions at home in Week 15. But when did the Lions last play? The Lions last played on Thursday night against the Cowboys. So Detroit has 10 days to prepare for the Rams. Rest advantage goes to the Lions. Then the Rams will go to Seattle to play the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. So the Lions have the rest advantage. Then the Rams on a short week have to travel to Seattle. Now, it's not a long flight from LA up to Seattle, but those are 2 huge games coming up for the Rams here. Could the Niners get a gift if the Rams lose one or both of these? Then the Rams on the road against Atlanta, Monday Night Football. Who's going to watch that? Please flex it out, NFL. And then Week 18 at home against the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks' remaining schedule. They get a big break with Daniel Jones being out, and we'll see about Riley Leonard. More on that coming up here in a moment. But Seattle gets the Colts at home. I think they're going to drub Indy. Then they play the Rams on Thursday Night Football at home. They have to travel to Carolina in Week 17, then play the Niners at Levi Stadium in Week 18. That game going to be a massive one. The Niners' remaining schedule. They play the Titans coming out of the bye. They are 13.5-point favorites. They will be big favorites on the road against the Colts on Monday Night Football. And they're also favored against the Bears and against Seattle as of right now. Bears on Sunday Night Football, and then Week 18, that aforementioned game against the Seahawks after the Niners won in Seattle in Week 1. And so you think about the 2 teams ahead of the Niners right now, Rams and Seahawks. If the Seahawks beat the Rams in a couple of weeks, Thursday night, December 18th, Week 18, final game of the year, could determine the NFC West title and a very important seed in the NFC West between Seattle and San Francisco. Looking ahead to Sunday's game, the Niners playing host to the number 1 overall pick Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee beating Cleveland yesterday in Cleveland. Bad weather conditions, as it always is this time of year. Kickoff set for 4:25 p.m. Eastern, 1:25 p.m. Pacific, and the Niners there, 12.5-point favorites. It's been hovering between 12.5 and 13.5. The biggest line favoring the Niners this year for San Francisco, and the over-under at 44.5. And then you look ahead to 2 games from now. I know the Niners are only focusing on Tennessee, but this is big here. Colts head coach Shane Steichen made the official announcement today. Quarterback Daniel Jones out for the remainder of the year with the torn Achilles. He was replaced by Riley Leonard, who played at Notre Dame last year. Riley Leonard also is dealing with a knee injury that leaves his status for Sunday's game on the road against the Seahawks uncertain. What a disastrous year this has ended up being for Indy after they got off to a great start and Daniel Jones was playing so well. I feel bad for Shane Steichen. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Chase_Senior. I just launched that TikTok page a couple of weeks ago. We're already closing in on 1,300 followers. Shout out to all of the real ones who have hit me up over there.